Okay, so for 31, we want to determine the exact value of the inverse of the ratio that we're given. And for this one, you also need to think in terms of a unit circle. So notice that right here you have, just for reference, the domain or values for sine, cosine, and tangent, because you are restricting the domain. So your restricted domain is represented here, so you're looking at which portions of the unit circle. So for sine inverse, you're just looking at the fourth and the first quadrant. So the sine of 1/2 is going to be right here at pi over 6. So the coordinate that's represented by pi over 6 is root 3 over 2 comma 1/2. And you know root 3 over 2 comma 1/2, you're going to take the 1/2 because you're the sine inverse. So what is the angle then at 1/2? The angle is pi over 6. Now you could also write these in terms of degrees. Pi over 6 is of course 30 degrees, but we want you to keep the answer in terms of radians. So then again, cosine inverse of -1 over root 2, it's basically what -1 over root 2 is the same as root 2 over 2. So you know that since it's negative, you're going to be over here in the second quadrant. And in the second quadrant, root 2 over 2 is 45 degrees, or 3 pi over 4. So you know that your angle that you're looking at is 3 pi over 4. Going over here, tan inverse of root 3, okay, if you want to just kind of think about the first quadrant of the unit circle, which is right here, the tan values, right here, the tan values are going to be, on this side, root 3 over 3, 1, and root 3. So the tan inverse of root 3 is going to be at 60 degrees, which is pi over 3. Sine inverse of -1 is down here. This is where sine is -1. Okay? So since sine, what is the angle when sine is -1, is going to be negative pi over 2. Yes, the equivalent form you could write as the 270 degree radian, but 270 degrees is not part of my domain. So therefore I have to write it as negative pi over 2. Alright, so for cosine of 0, again, cosine is 0 here. Cosine is 0 right here. Here's where cosine is 0. So, because this 0 and this pi represent your radians, so that's what that 0 and that pi are representing. So here you have the point 0, 1, that's at pi over 2. So the angle of pi over 2 gives you the cosine value of 0. And then finally the tan inverse of -1 is going to be at negative pi over 4 because it's negative. So where is tan negative? Tan is negative in this quadrant right here. Where is the ratio 1? The ratio is 1 at 45 degrees, which was negative pi over 4. Remember, you cannot write this in terms of the fourth quadrant angle that you typically do. You have to write it in terms of negative pi over 4.